2 Kings 18, chapter 18. Hezekiah king of Judah. In the 3rd years of the Hosea son of Elam king of Israel, Hezekiah son of Ahaz king of Judah began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Abiah, daughter of Zechariah. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father David had done. He removed the high places, smashed the sacred stones, and cut down the Asherah poles. He broke into pieces the bronze snake Moses had made. For up to that time, the Israelites have been burning incense to it. It was called Nehustan. Hezekiah trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel. There was no one like him among all the kings of Judah, either before him or after him. He held fast to the Lord and did not stop following him. He kept the commands the Lord had given Moses, and the Lord was with him. He was successful in whatever he undertook. He went against the king of Assyria and did not serve him. From watchtower to fortified city, he defeated the Philistines as far as Gaza and its territory. In King Hezekiah's 4th year, which was the 7th year of Hosea son of Elah king of Israel, Salmaneser king of Assyria marched against Samaria and laid siege to it. At the end of 3 years, the Assyrians took it, so Samaria was captured in Hezekiah's 6th year, which was the 19th year of Hosea king of Israel. The king of Assyria deported Israel to Assyria and settled them in Halah, in Gozan, on the harbor river, in towers of the Medes. This happened because they had not obeyed the Lord their God, but had violated his covenant, all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. They neither listened to the commands nor carried them out. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. So Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent this message to the king of Assyria and Lachish: I have done wrong, withdraw from me, and I'll pay whatever you demand of me. The king of Assyria exacted from Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasuries of the royal place. At this time, Hezekiah, king of Judah, stripped off the gold with which he had covered the doors and doorposts of the temple of the Lord, and gave it to the king of Assyria. Sennacherib threatens Jerusalem. The king of Assyria sent his supreme commanders, his chief official, and his field commander with a large army from Lachish to King Hezekiah at Jerusalem. They came up to Jerusalem and stopped at the aqueduct of the upper pool. On the road to the fisherman's field, they called for the king, and Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrators, Seba, the secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph's, the recorder, went out to them. The field commander said to them, Tell Hezekiah, this is what the great king, the head king of Assyria, says: On what are you basing this confidence of yours? You say you have the counsel and the might for war, but you speak only empty words. On whom are you depending? Then you rebel against me. Look, I know you are depending on Egypt that splintered reed of a step, which pierces the hand of anyone who leans on it. Such is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who depend on him. But if you say to me, we are depending on the Lord our God, isn't he the one whose high places and altars Hezekiah removed, saying to Judah and Jerusalem, you must worship before this altar in Jerusalem. Come now, make a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I will give you 2,000 horses, if you can put leaders on them. How can you repulse one after how can you repulse one officers of the list of my master's officials, even though you are depending on Egypt? For chariots and horsemen, furthermore have I come to attack and destroy this place without word from the Lord. The Lord himself told me to march against this country and destroy it. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, and Sheba, and Joah said to the field commander, please speak to your servant in Aramaic, since we understand it. Don't speak to us in Hebrew in the hearing of the people on the wall. But the commander replied, was it only to your masters and you that my master sent me to say these things, and not to the people sitting on the wall, who, like you, will have to eat their own excrement? Then the commander stood and called out in Hebrew, hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Do not let Hezekiah deceive you. He cannot deliver you from my hand. Do not let Hezekiah persuade you to trust in the Lord when he said, the Lord will surely deliver us. This city will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Do not listen to Hezekiah. This is what the king of Assyria says. Make feasts with me and come out to me. Then each of you will eat fruit from your own vine and fig tree, and drink water from your own cistern, until I come and take you to a land like your own, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and wine. The nation ever delivered his land from the hand of the king of Assyria. Where are the gods of Hamas and Palad? Choose life and not death. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for he is misleading you when he said, the Lord will deliver us. Has the God of any nations ever delivered his land from the land on the for he is misleading you when he said, the Lord will deliver us. Has the God of any nations ever delivered his hand from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamas and Elprad? Where are the gods of Shepharvim, Henna, and Iba? Have they rescued Samaria from my hand? Who of all the gods of these countries has been able to save his land from me? How then can the Lord deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people remained silent and said nothing to reply, because the king had commanded to not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the secretary, and John, son of Asaph, the recorder, went to Hezekiah with their close tone and told him what the field commander had said. Jerusalem's deliverance foretold. When King Hezekiah heard this, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and went into the temple of the Lord. He sent Eliakim to replace the administrators Shebna, the secretary, and the leading priest, all wearing he sent Eliakim to place the administrator Shebna, the secretary, and the leading priest, all wearing slack clothes, to the prophet Isaiah son of Amoz. They told him, "This is what Hezekiah says. This day is a day of distress and rebuke and disgrace, as when children come to the moment of the birth and there is no strength to deliver them. It may be that the Lord your God will hear all the words of the field commanders, whom his master, the king of Assyria, has sent to ridicule the living God and he sent Eliakim to place administrator Shebna, the secretary, and the leading priest, and all wearing sackcloth, to the prophet Isaiah son of Amoz. They told him, "This is what Hezekiah says, this day, a day of distress and rebuke and disgrace, as when children come to the moment of birth, and there is no strength to deliver them. It may be that the Lord your God will hear all the words of the field commanders, whom his master, the king of Assyria, has sent to ridicule the living God, and that he will rebuke him for the words of the Lord your God has heard. Therefore, pray for the remnant, and will still survive." When King Hezekiah's official came to Isaiah, Isaiah said to them, "Tell your masters, this is what the Lord says. Do not be afraid of what you have heard, those words with which the underling of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Listen, when he hears a certain report, I'll make him want to return to his own country, and there I will have him cut down with the sword." When the field commanders heard that the king of Assyria had left Lachish, he withdrew and found the king fighting against Limnah. Now Sennacherib received a report that Tirhakan, the king of Kusi, was marching out to fight against him. So he again sent messengers to Hezekiah with this word: "Say to Hezekiah, king of Judah, do not let the God you depend on deceive you. When he says Jerusalem will not be given into the hands of the king of Assyria. Surely you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the countries, destroying them completely, and will you be delivered? Did the gods of the nations that were destroyed by my predecessors deliver them? The gods of Gozan, Haran, Lepsan, and the people of Eden who were in Tel Azar. Where is the king of Hamas or the king of Arpad? Where are the kings of Lyre, Shepharvaim, Hena, and Iba?" Hezekiah's prayer. Hezekiah received a letter from the messenger and read it. Then he went up to the temple of the Lord and spread it out before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed to the Lord, the God of Israel, enthroned between the cherubim. You alone are God of all the kingdom of the earth. You have made heaven and earth. Give ears, Lord, and hears. Open your eyes, Lord, and see. Listen to the words Sennacherib has sent to ridicule the living God. It is true, Lord, that the Assyrian king have laid waste these nations and their land. Their lands they have thrown their gods into the fire and destroyed them. For they were not gods, but only wood and stone, fashioned by human hands. Now, Lord our God delivered us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you alone, Lord, are God. Isaiah proposes Sennacherib's fall. Then Isaiah son of Amoz sent a message to Hezekiah. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says: I have heard your prayers concerning Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is the word that the Lord has spoken against him. Virgin daughter Zion despises you and mocks you. Daughter Jerusalem tosses her head as you flee. Who is it you have ridiculed and blasphemed? Against whom have you raised your voices, and lifted your eyes in pride? Against the Holy One of Israel. By your messengers you have ridiculed the Lord, and you have said, with my many chariots I have ascended the heights of the mountain, the most heights of Lebanon. I have cut down its tallest cedars, the choicest of its junipers. I have reached its remotest part, the finest of its forests. I have dug well in foreign hands and drunk the water there. With the sole of my feet, I have dried up all the streams of Egypt. Have you not heard? Long ago I ordained it. In days of old I planned it. Now I have brought it to pass, that you have turned fortified cities into piles of stones. Their people drained of power are dismayed and put to shame. They are like plants in the field, like tender green shoots, like grasses sprouting on the roof, so soothed before it grows up. But I know where you are and when you come and go, and how you raise against me. Because you raise against me, and because your insolence has reached my ears, I'll put my hook in your nose and my pit in your mouth, and I will make you return by the way you came. This will be the sign for you, Hezekiah. This year you will eat what grows by itself, and the second year what springs from that. But in the third year sow and reap plants vineyard and eat their fruits. Once more a remnant of the kingdom of Judah will take root below and bear fruit above it. For out of Jerusalem will come a remnant, and out of Mount Zion a band of survivors. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Therefore this is what the Lord says concerning the king of Assyria. He will not enter this city or shoot an arrow here. He will not come before it with a shield, or build a siege ramp against it. By the way that he came, he will return. He will not enter this city, declares the Lord. I will defend this city and save it for my sake and for the sake of David, my servant. That night the angels of the Lord went out and put to death 185,000 in the Assyrian camp. When the people got up the next morning, there were all the dead bodies. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, broke camp and withdrew. He returned to Nineveh and stayed there. One day, while he was worshipping in the temple of his god Nisroch, his sons Adramelech and Shalzer killed him with the sword, and they escaped to the land of Alat, and Esarhaddon, his son, succeeded him as king. Hezekiah's illness. In those days, Hezekiah became ill and was at the point of death. The prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, went to him and said, "This is what the Lord says: Put your house in order, because you are going to die. You will not recover." Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. "Remember, Lord, how I have walked before you faithfully and with wholehearted devotion, and have done what is good in your eyes." And Hezekiah wept bitterly. Before Isaiah had left the middle court, the word of the Lord came to him. "Go back and tell Hezekiah, the ruler of my people, this is what the Lord, the God of your father David, says: I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you on the third day, from now you will go up to the temple of the Lord. I will add 15 years to your life, and I will deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria. I will defend this city for my sake and for the sake of my servant David. Then Isaiah said, prepare poultice of pig. They did so and applied it to the boil, and he recovered. Hezekiah had asked Isaiah, what will be the sign that the Lord will heal me and that I will go to the temple of the Lord on the third day from now? Isaiah said, this is the Lord's sign to you that the Lord will do what he has promised. Shall the shadow of go forward 10 steps, or shall it go back 10 steps? It is a simple matter for the shadow to go forward 10 steps, said Hezekiah. Let us have it go back 10 steps. Then the prophet Isaiah called on the Lord, and the Lord made the shadow go back the 10 steps it had gone down on the stairway of Haz. Envoys from Babylon. At that time, Marduk-Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent Hezekiah letters and a gift because he had heard of Hezekiah's illness. Hezekiah received the envoys and showed them all that was in his storehouses: the silver, the gold, the spices, and the pine or olive oil, his armor, and everything found among his treasury. There was nothing in his place or in all his kingdom that Hezekiah did not show them. Then Isaiah the prophet went to King Hezekiah and asked, what did those men say, and where did they come from? From a distant land, Hezekiah replied that they came from Babylon. The prophet asked, what did they see in your place? They saw everything in my place. Hezekiah said, there is nothing among my treasure that I did not show them. Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord. The time will surely come when everything in your place and all that your predecessors have stored up until this day will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, said the Lord, and some of your descendants, your own flesh and blood, who will be born to you, will be taken away, and they will become eunuch in the place of the king of Babylon. The word of the Lord you have spoken is good. Hezekiah replied, for he thought, will there not be peace and security in my lifetime? As for the other event of Hezekiah's reign, all his achievements, and how he made the pool and the tunnel by which he brought water into the city, are they not written in the book of the honor of the king of Judah? Hezekiah rested with his ancestors, and Manasseh his son succeeded him as king. Manasseh king of Judah. Chapter 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 55 years. His mother's name was Hephzibah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. He rebuilt the high places his father Hezekiah and destroyed. He also erected altars to Baal and made an Asherah pole. As Ahab, king of Israel, had done, he bowed down to all the stately hosts and worshipped them. He built altars in the temple of the Lord, of which the Lord had said, in Jerusalem I'll put my name. In the two courts of the temple of the Lord, he built altars to all the starry host. He sacrificed his own son in the fire, practiced divination, sought omens, and consulted medium and spiritists. He did much evil in the eyes of the Lord, aroused his anger. He took the carved Asherah pole he had made and put it in the temple of which the Lord had said to David and to his son Solomon, in this temple and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I'll put my name forever. I will not again make the pit of the Israelites wander from the land I gave their ancestors. If only they will be careful to do everything I commanded them, and will keep the whole law that my servant Moses gave them. But the people did not listen. Manasseh led them astray, so that they did more evil than the nations the Lord had destroyed before the Israel. The Lord said through his servant the prophets, Manasseh, king of Judah, has committed these detestable sins. He has done more evil than the Amorites who predeceded him, and has led Judah into sin with his idol. Therefore, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says: I am going to bring such disaster on Jerusalem and Judah that the ears of everyone who hears of it will tingle. I will stretch out over Jerusalem the measuring line used against Samaria and the plumb line used against the house of Ahab. I will wipe out Jerusalem as one wipes out a city, wiping it and turning it upside down. I will first shake the remnant of my inheritance and give them into the hands of enemies. They will be looted and plundered by all the enemies. They have done evil in my eyes and have aroused my anger from the day their ancestors came out of Egypt until this day. Moreover, Manasseh also shed so much innocent blood that he filled Jerusalem from end to end, besides the sin that he had caused Judah to commit, so that they did evil in the eyes of the Lord. As for the other events of Manasseh's reign and all he did, including the sin he committed, are they not written in the book of the annals of the king of Judah? Manasseh rested with his ancestors and was buried in his palace garden, the garden of Uzzah, and Amon his son succeeded him as king. Amon, king of Judah. Amon was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 2 years. His mother's name was Mesulmes, daughter of Haruz. She was from Yoppah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, as his father Manasseh had done. He followed completely the ways of his father, worshipping the idols his father and worshipped and bowing down to them. He forsook the Lord, the God of his ancestors, and did not walk in obedience to him. Ammon officials conspired against him and assassinated the king in his place. Then the people of the land killed all who had plotted against King Ammon, and they made Josiah his son king in his place. As for the other event of Ammon's reign and what he did, and are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? He was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and Josiah his son succeeded him as king. The book of the law found. Josiah, chapter 22. Josiah was 8 years and old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. His mother named was Yediah, daughter of Adiah. She was from Bozjaz. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and followed completed the ways of his father David, not turning aside to the right or to the left. In the 18th year of his reign, King Josiah sent the secretary, Shaphan, son of Azariah, the son of Mesullam, to the temple of the Lord. He said, "Go to Hilkiah the high priest and have him get ready the money that has been brought into the temple of the Lord, which the doorkeepers have collected from the people. Have them entrust it to process the timber and dress the stone to repair the temple, but they need not account for the money entrusted to them, because they are honest in their dealing." Hilkiah the high priest had said to Shaphan the secretary, "I have found the book of the law in the temple of the Lord." He gave it to Shaphan, who read it. Then Shaphan the secretary went to the king and reported to him, "Your officials have paid out the money that was in the temple of the Lord, have entrusted it to the work and the supervisor at the temple. Then Saban the secretary informed the king, Hilkiah the priest has given me a book, and Saban read from it in the presence of the king. When the king heard the words of the book of the law, and he tore his robes, he gave these orders to Hilkiah the priest. I come, son of Shaphan, Akbor, son of Micaiah, Shaphan the secretary, and Asaiah the king's attendants. Go and inquire of the Lord for me and for the people and for all Judah about what is written in the book that has been found. Great is the Lord's anger that burns against us, because those who have gone before us have not obeyed the word of his book, then have not acted in accordance with all that is written in there concerning us. Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam, Akbor, Shaphan, and Asai went to speak to the prophet Huldah, who was the wife of Shallum, son of Tikva, the son of Hanas, keeper of the wardrobe of she lived in Jerusalem in the new quarter. She said to them, This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Tell the man who sent you to me. This is what the Lord says. I am going to bring disaster on his place and its people, according to everything written in the book the king of Judah has read, because they have forsaken me and burned incense to other gods and aroused my anger by all the idols their hands had made. My anger will burn against this place and will not be quenched. Tell the king of Judah who sent you to inquire of the Lord. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says concerning the words you heard, because your heart was responsive and you humbled yourself before the Lord when you heard what I have spoken against this place and its people, that they would become a curse and be laid waste, and because you tore your robes and wept in my presence, I have heard you, declares to the Lord. Therefore I will gather you to your ancestors, and you will be buried in peace. Your eyes will not see all the disaster I am going to bring on this place. Josiah renews the covenant, chapter 23. Then the king called together all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. He went up to the temple of the Lord with the people of Judah, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the priests and the prophets, all the people from the least to the greatest. He read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant, which had been found in the temple of the Lord. The king stood by the pillar and renewed the covenant in the presence of the Lord, to follow the Lord and keep his commands, statutes, and decrees with all his heart and all his soul, thus confirming the words of the covenant written in this book. Then all the people pledged themselves to the covenant. The king ordered Hilkiah, the high priest, the priest next in rank, and the doorkeepers to remove from the temple of the Lord all the articles made for Baal and Asherah and all the starry host. He burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of the Kidron Valley, and took the ashes to Bethel. He did away with the idolatrous priest appointed by the king of Judah to burn incense in the high places of the town of Judah, and on those around Jerusalem, those who burned incense to Baal, to the sun and the moon, to the constellation, and to all the starry host. He took the Asherah pole from the temple of the Lord to the Kidron Valley outside Jerusalem and burned it there. He ground it to powder and scattered to dust over the graves of the common people. He also tore down the cutters of the male shooting prostitutes that were in the temple of the Lord. The cutters were women did weaving for Asherah. Josiah brought all the priests from the towns of Judah and desecrated the high places from Geba to Beersheba, where the priests had burned in the incense. He broke down the gateway and at the entrance of the gates of Joshua, the city governor, which was on the left of the city gate. Although the priests of the high places did not serve at the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, they are unleavened bread with their fellow priests. He discredited the top palace, which was in the valley of Ben Hinnom, so no one could use it to sacrifice their son or daughter in the fire to Molech. He removed from the entrance to the temple of the Lord the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun. They were in the court near the room of an official named Nadan's Melech. Yoshia then burned the chariot dedicated to the sun. He pulled down the altars the kings of Judah had erected on the roof near the upper room of Ahaz, and the altars Manasseh had built in the two courts of the temple of the Lord. He removed them from there, smashed them to pieces, and threw the rubble into the Kidron Valley. The king also discredited the high places that were east of Jerusalem on the south of the hill of corruption, the one Solomon king of Israel had built for Astoreth, the Baal goddess of the Sidonians, for Chemosh, the Baal god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of the people of Ammon. Yoshia smashed the sacred stones and cut down the Asherah poles and covered the site with human bones. Even the altar at Bethel, the high places made by Jeroboam son of Nebat, who had caused Israel to sin. Even that altar and the high places he demolished. He burned the high places and ground it to powder and burned the Asherah poles also. Then Yoshia looked around, and when he saw the tombs that were there on the hillside, he had the bones removed from them and burned on the altar to defile it in accordance with the word of the Lord proclaimed by the man of God who foretold these things. The king asked, "What is that tombstone I see?" The people of the city said, "It marks the tomb of the man of God who came from Judah and pronounced against the altar of Bethel the very things you have done to it." "Leave it alone," he said. "Don't let anyone disturb his bones." So they spared his bones and those of the prophets who had come from Samaria. Just as he had done at Bethel, Yoshia removed all the shrines at the high place that the kings of Israel had built it in the towns of Samaria, and that he had aroused the Lord's anger. Yoshia slaughtered all the priests of those who high places on the and burned human bones on them. Then he went back to Jerusalem. The king gave this order to all the people: "Celebrate the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in this book of the covenant. Neither in the days of the judges who led Israel, nor in the days of the kings of Israel, and the king of Judah had any such Passover been observed. But in the 18th year of King Yoshia, this Passover was celebrated to the Lord in Jerusalem. Furthermore, Yoshia carried over the medium and the spirits, the household gods, the idol, and all the other detestable things seen in Judah and Jerusalem. This he did to fulfill the requirement of the law written in the book that Hilkiah the priest and discovered in the temple of the Lord. Neither before nor after Yoshia was there a kingdom like the way Yoshia get rid of the minimum and the spirits, the household gods, the idols, and all the other detestable things seen in Judah in Jerusalem. This he did to fulfill the requirements of the law written in the book that Hilkiah the priest had discovered in the temple of the Lord. Neither before nor after Yoshia was there a king like him who turned to the uh, neither before nor after Yoshia was there a killing. The press had typically like him often to with his heartward will his word will be already strong in accordance with all the law of Moses. Nevertheless, the Lord did not turn away from the heart of his fierce anger, which burned against Judah because of all that Manasseh had done to arouse his anger. So the Lord said, I will remove Judah also from my presence as I removed I am removed. I said my name shall be there. As for the other event of Yoshia's reign and all he did, are they not written in that book? While Yoshia was king, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up to the while Joseph was king, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt went to Euphrates River to help the king of Assyria. King Yoshia marched out to meet him in battle. But Necho faced him and killed him at Megiddo. Yoshia's servant brought his body in chariot from Megiddo to Jerusalem and buried him in his own tomb. And the people of the land took Joaz, the son of Yoshia, and anointed him and made him king in place of his father. Joaz, king of Judah. Joaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah. She was from Libnah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as he priests had done. Pharaoh's Nego put him in chain at Libya in the end of the Hermes, so that so that he might not reign in Jerusalem, and he removed Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, son of Joashian, king. But he took Joaz and carried him up to Egypt, and there he died. Joachim paid Pharaoh Necho the silver and gold demanded. In order to do so, he taxed the land and exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land according to their sins. Joachim, king of Judah. Joachim was 25 years. His mother's name was Zibiah, daughter of Poseidon, and he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his predecessors had done. Chapter 24. During Joachim's reign, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, invaded the land, and Joachim became his vassal for 3 years. But then he turned against Nebuchadnezzar and rebelled. The Lord sent Babylon, Arameans, Moabites, and Ammonite raiders against him to destroy Judah. In accordance with the word of the Lord plagued by his servants, the prophets, surely these things happened to Judah according to the Lord's command, in order to remove them from his presence because of the sins of Manasseh and all he had done, including the shedding of innocent Surely these things happened to Judah according to the Lord's command, in order to remove them from his presence because of the sin of Manasseh and all he had done, including the shedding of innocent blood. for he had fulfilled Jerusalem with the innocent blood, and the Lord was not willing to forgive. As for the others event of Joachim's reign and all he did, and written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah, Joachim rested with his ancestors, and Joachim his son succeeded him as king. The king of Egypt did not march out from his own country again, because the king of Babylon had taken all his territory from the Wadi of Egypt to the Euphrates River. Joachim, king of Judah. Joachim was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother's name was Duhusant, daughter of Elnathan. She was from Jerusalem. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father had done. At that time, the officers of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, advanced on Jerusalem and laid siege to it, and Nebuchadnezzar, king himself, came up to the city while his officers were besieging it. Jehoiakim, king of Judah, his mother, his attendants, his nobles, and his officials all surrendered to him. In the 19th years of the reign of the king of Babylon, he took Joachim prisoner as the Lord had declared. Nebuchadnezzar removed the treasures from the temple of the Lord and from the royal places, and gave conduct. The Solomon king of Israel had made for the temple of the Lord. He carried all Jerusalem into the exile. All the officers and fighting men and all the skilled workers and artisans, a total of 10,000, only the poorest people of the land were left. Nebuchadnezzar took Joachim captive to Babylon. He also took from Jerusalem to Babylon the king's mother, his wives, his officials, and the prominent people of the land. The king of Babylon also deported to Babylon the entire forces to 7,000 fighting men. Strong and fit for war, and 1,000 skilled workers and artisans. He made Matanias, Joachim's uncle, king in his place, and he changed his name to Yedekiah. Yedekiah, king of Judah. Yedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 7 years. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah. She was from Limnah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as Joachim had done. It was because of the Lord's anger that all that happened to Jerusalem and Judah, and in the end he thrust them from his presence, the poor of Jerusalem. Now Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. Chapter 2 King, chapter 25. New International Version, chapter 25. So in the 19th years of Zedekiah's reign, on the 10th day of the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, marched against Jerusalem with his whole army. He encamped outside the city and built siege works all around it. The city was kept on the siege under the 11th years of King Zedekiah. By the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine in the city had become so severe that there was no food for the people to eat. Then the city wall was broken through, and the whole army fled at night through the gate between the two walls near the king's garden. Though the Babylonians were surrounding the city, they fled toward the Arab, but the Babylonians' army pursued the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his soldiers were separated from him and scattered, and he was captured. He was taken to the king of Babylon at Rimla, where sentences were pronounced on him. They killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. Then they put out his eyes, bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babylon. On the 7th days of the 5th month, in the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, commanders of the imperial guard, an official of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He sent fire to the temple of the Lord, the royal palace, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every important building he burned down. The whole Babylonian army, under the command of the imperial guard, broke down the walls around Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar, the commander of the guard, carried into exile the people who remained in the city, along with the rest of the populace and those who had deserted to the king of Babylon. But the commanders left behind some of the poorest people of the land to work in the vineyard and the fields. The Babylonians broke up the bronze pillar, the movable stand, and the bronze sea that were at the temple of the Lord, and they carried the bronze of Babylon. They also took away the pots, shovels, wick trimmers, dishes, and all the bronze articles used in the temple service. The commander of the imperial guard took away the censers and the sprinkling bowls, all that were made of pure gold or silver. The bronze from the 2 pillars, the sea, and the movable stands, which Solomon had made for the temple of the Lord, was more than could be weighted. Each pillar was 18 cubits high. The bronze capital on top of one pillar was 3 cubits high and was decorated with a network and pomegranates of the bronze all around. The other pillar with its network was similar. The commander of the guard took as prisoners Sarah, the chief priest, Zebaniah, the priest, next in rank, and the 3 doorkeepers of those still in the city. He took the office in charge of the fighting men. And 5 royal advisors. He also took the secretary, who was chief officials in charge of conscripting the people of the land, and 60 of the conscripts who were found in the city. Nebuchadnezzar, the commander, took them all and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. There at Riblah in the land of Hamas, the king had them executed. So Judah went into captivity away from her land. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, to be over the people he had left behind in Judah. When all the army officers and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah as governor, they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Ismael, son of Nedaniah, Jonan, son of Karen, Sarah, son of Tahum, West, the Neptopatiti, Yazani, the son of the Makatiti, and their men. Gedaliah took an oath to reassure them and their men. Do not be afraid of the Babylonian official, he said. Settle down in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it will go well with you. In the 7th month, however, Ismael, son of Nedaniah, the son of Elisama, who was of royal blood, came with 10 men and assigned Gedaliah and also the men of Judah and the Babylonians who were with him at Mizpah. At this, all the people from the least to the greatest, together with the army officials, fled to Egypt for fear of the Babylonians. Joachim released in the 37 years of the exile of the Joachim, king of Judah, in the year Marduk became king of Babylon. He released Joachim, king of Judah, from prison. He did this on the 27th day of the 12th month. He spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat of honor higher than those of the other king who were with him in Babylon. So Joachim put aside his prisoner clothes and for the rest of his life ate regularly at the king's table. Day by day, the king gave Joachim a regular allowance as long as he lives.